So what did it teach you about yourself that was surprising?
Well, yeah, like that 1.5 hour meditation was trippy. Like, I always strive for like short, like 5 minute, 10 minute, like make it manageable. And then when you just kind of pulled us into that 1.5 hours, like it was just like, wow, I could do it, right? It doesn't have to be like a perfect hour and a half sit. Yes, everyone's gonna have, their thoughts wander and like, but like I could still sit like for that long in and out of whatever state I wanted to be in, whether it was like listening to you, whether it was trying to meditate, whether it was trying to have stillness. I was surprised to be able to just get through it. Like it's my biggest fear, like these like day-long silence retreat or like 1 hour meditation sit. Like I'm like, oh hell no, I can never reach that state of still, like even just physically sitting around for that long without getting antsy. um yeah, that was cool.
Sounds like you experienced presence, like real presence, and just being just centered where you are. And like you said, just being able to not really judge where your mind is going or but just to just
Mm.
be in it. And it's interesting because that whole meditation was so spontaneous, and sometimes the best um, experiences are spontaneous. If I would have told you before, Tracey, we're gonna do a 90-minute meditation, you would have came in like,
Yeah,
oh God, I'm gonna
yeah,
miss.
I probably would come in late or something. It's so incredible how you were able to intuitively do all that. Like I could tell like you were just channeling it, and I'm like, this is so on point. Like, and I, everyone's feedback was like, they received the message, and I was just like you, like as my friend, and then witnessing you in that, I'm like, I was blown away. It was powerful.
Even if 10 years from now you forget everything about the left and the right channel, you'll remember how you felt. And remembering that
Mm-hmm.
to me is more important. Remembering that
Mm-hmm.
you're capable where you
Mm-hmm.
are now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's there already.
Yeah.
Your ability to have a 90-minute meditation is not at the end of some 400-hour Tibetan trek. It's
Yeah.
with you right now. You're already
Mm-hmm.
capable. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
yet on your own, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So would you recommend this course to anyone, and why?
Oh, absolutely would recommend. Um, I'd recommend it because I feel like folks who want to explore like spiritual healing work, but feel like there's a big gap to get into it. I think you teach it and offer it in a way that like really bridges that. Like I don't know if it feels like real talk. It's like healing real talk. You'll know the technical piece and like you embody it, but at the same time you're like fuck this shit and fuck that shit. Like, it just helps like it helps make it not feel as, what's that word, daunting.
Mm.
Like even to this day I still find it like hard. Like it's still very conceptually hard for me to grasp, but I feel like I can just ask you a question and you'll break it down in a way that I can understand it. So it
Mm.
feels like, yeah, it feels like education for the people, healing education for the people.
Yeah, I definitely think that that is one of my strengths, is taking what would be like either too woo woo or too like absolutist or kind of like
Yep.
and grounding it and adding a sense of, oh, this guy's intellectual, like
Yeah.
reasonable, not just like
Yeah. You're like a good mix of it that makes it accessible for people of different stages and different levels and like different entry points. Yeah. Like I could tell everyone in class was in a different space, like, with where they're at with their practice. And it felt like everyone can still like learn from each other and hear from each other. And you were able to hold all that.
yeah.
The
So
content was incredible though, like the
yeah,
quality of the slides and the way you taught it and the detail and then like the follow-up practice, like that was incredible content. It's
okay, that's
like it
good to
was
know.
gold.
I get in my head about it, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's too much. Maybe I'll just.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if it was like a classroom, it's like those textbooks you rent that you want to read, but you don't read it during class because you know all the finals come up too fast, and you're like, but I'm gonna keep these books because I want to dive into it on my own time. Like I'm trying to go to Joshua Tree next month, and I want to spend a week off and just like re-listen to everything and like actually, yeah, sit with the content because I really value it. So, and thank you for making that. I know it's a lot of work to edit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually liked the combination of like the mental learning because you know me, like I'm very into like the knowledge part of it and also the practice. Um, yeah, it was a trip. You know, you giving us information, and then the next week you were like, you know, but don't be fixated on it. Just like forget it all. I could see you like trying to like help us get out of the mind too. And I'm like, well, then I did get fixated on the charts, and I wanted to like learn more. Like, am I doing it right or wrong? And then you're like, but stop it. So it was a good practice to just like realize how that happens. Like when you take in information and you get fixated on it, and then you get stuck up here and that like kind of like defeats the purpose. So yeah, I appreciated the balance of it.
Yeah, it's a good balance. And with that meditation, what was so beautiful about it is that you realize that the system is gonna do its job, And so, we could have spent time working on chakras, but also when your subtle system, it's an energetic system, when it is receiving something that is high vibrational, it responds, and like it's showing you, it's just like your body receiving anything. When you eat food, you just like put it in your mouth. Your body's like doing what it does, it knows how to like take and receive it as well. So getting out of the mental and the how. I took one of my coaches said in her class while I was doing my class, she's like, sometimes you got to realize the how is none of your business. Just be in what is happening. She's like, and what is one of like the biggest surprises that you had in the course? Well,
I don't know. It was a lot more of a challenge than I thought it would be. I think because I romanticized it, like I romanticized this idea of like, oh, after 8 weeks, I'm gonna know all these things about my chakra, and I'm gonna be super lifted and enlightened, and it's just like
right.
it doesn't happen like that.
So then, what did you learn about how it happened?
I think like the learning is it's happening even when it doesn't feel like it's happening, right? It's happening even when I feel like I'm like so fixated on these tangible progress or like, concrete like signs that show I'm progress, there's progress, but then like there's a lot of other signs and other things that come into my life that I'm trying to see and hear and receive that is part of it too. And so that's what I've embraced. Like, me being able to take a couple vacations on the weekends, like that was part of making time and like, bringing you with me. Like I brought you to my retreat center. Like I brought this to my laptop and turned on my Kundalini class doing a retreat center or like at a camping trip. And so, yeah, that was a lesson. That is a lesson.